Hi, this is Barb Colora with Resolve, the National Infertility Association. Thank you for joining this webinar on how to find support in a social distancing environment. Joining us today, we have two experts. We have Dr. Liz Grill with Cornell Medicine in New York, and we also have Candace Wool, who is a Resolve support group host and advocate. Liz Grill also serves on the Resolve Board of Directors, and Candace Wool has an award from Resolve, and she has also chaired our Advocacy Day and participated in a number of our support group training and advocate training programs. For those who don't know Resolve, we are not a advocacy organization. We have been around a very long time, and we have live support groups across the country. We also do a great deal in the area of public policy and advocacy, public awareness, patient education, and information on all family building options. We believe that everyone has a right to build their family, and we do everything we can to support all people in their family building journey. I'm going to turn it over to Liz Grill to talk a little bit about how we can keep connected during this time when most of us are stuck at home. Liz?
Thanks so much, Barb, and thanks for having me. It's such an important time to get the mental health help that people need. First and foremost, I just want people to know that during times of uncertainty like this, feeling stressed and depressed and on edge and even angry are completely normal reactions to an outbreak like COVID-19. And then you add on top of that social distancing and quarantine, and this can really exacerbate these feelings and really lead to a sense of despair for a lot of people. And understandably, those who have been struggling to build their families and have had any kind of history of infertility are no strangers to these emotions or feelings of loneliness and isolation. So it's kind of a double hit for people who have been along the fertility journey. And staying connected is really important. Staying connected to trusted friends, really picking friends and family that you can talk to, is one of the best ways to reduce anxiety and depression and loneliness and boredom during these times. During these times of quarantine, distancing, and isolation, and during times of struggling with infertility, equally as important. So talk about feelings related to the outbreak and the impact it's having on your fertility journey specifically, since a lot of people are now managing postponed cycles and canceled cycles and clinics that could be temporarily shutting down. And equally important, albeit not easy at all, is to really have conversations completely unrelated to the outbreak and family building plans. It's really important to have a distraction away from all of this. So with social distancing as the new, I'll call it temporary normal, staying connected may take some creativity and planning, so it's really important to be very deliberate about it. Use the telephone, email, text messaging, social media to connect with friends, family, and others. People can connect visually with friends and loved ones with Skype and FaceTime and other forms, just to replace what you would be doing in person. Doing the things you would enjoy doing together are really important. So with virtual visual connections, you can still enjoy cooking together, sharing recipes, sharing hobbies. Book clubs can still meet, doing games online together, getting your friends together for coffee in the morning or an occasional happy hour. Routines are really important. So any routine that you are doing that you can replicate online is really key right now. So while connecting with others is one of the best buffers against distress, also know that it's okay to give yourself permission for some alone time as well, especially if you're sharing space with partners or parents or roommates. So create a room or a corner that is tranquil, that's just for you. Put earphones on and headphones on if you need to, earplugs. Just create some peace to navigate these chaotic times so that you also have time alone.
Thank you so much, Liz. So appreciate your advice and counsel. I'm sure you are dealing with this with your patients and clients right now.
Definitely. Definitely.
I want to remind everyone as well about the resources through Resolve. We are on social media, certainly on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter. We also have an online support community through inspire.com. And you can also find tremendous amount of resources on resolve.org, our website. If you go to the homepage, we have a new link that will take you to content about coronavirus and COVID-19, but specifically about how to find support and connection and information. So again, if you go to resolve.org, there'll be a link from our homepage to that updated content. We're updating it times a day. I'd like to now turn it over to Candace Wohl, who will share a little bit about the importance of support and specifically what Resolve has to offer. Candace?
Thank you, Barb. I appreciate it. And thank you for allowing me to kind of share my insight on Resolve support groups. So I was really alone in my struggle before I attended my first Resolve support group. I just remember walking in there being just absolutely terrified for the first time. But something really unexpected happened. People were talking, and what they were saying was validating. It wasn't just me who felt that way. It was others as well who were dealing with the same barriers and emotions. And it was like a light bulb went off and this huge weight removed from my chest. And so I started going to these meetings regularly. And of course, fate would have it that I started volunteering as a peer-led support group leader. And 7 years later, it has not only been a consistent refill to my own personal cup and ongoing struggle, but it also allows me to give back to an organization that has helped me through some really dark times. So just so everybody was aware, my first, I guess, assumption of what was going to happen in a support group was very different than what actually happens and what actually happens in most support groups. So what we do is we're there to talk about where we are in our process, to kind of do a check-in with everybody. We also are there to talk through ideas and bounce off ideas and kind of what do they think? And going through something similar, how do they feel about this? We also cry together. And another thing is we provide realistic encouragement from a place of understanding. And then, of course, we cover really important topics like mental health and infertility and how they can get involved in advocacy and male factor fertility and all the topics that are important to our community. And it's important for everybody to understand why support groups matter now more than ever. With the current climate that we are in right now, I think it's safe to say that we're all a bit uncomfortable. And support is not just needed, it's necessary. As humans, we're social creatures. And even the most introverted person still needs someone to tell them, hey, guess what? You're not alone, and I see you. And there's just something to be said when you're face-to-face and knee-to-knee with somebody who needs a place of that understanding. But now, with that new emphasis on social distancing, we need to find other ways to get the same support and it be impactful, and even more impactful for that matter. Our community right now is really hurting. We're all hurting in many different ways and in all the same ways, both for patients and providers. And this is something that we kind of need to band together on, and that's support. So waiting is something I can also say that we have become really good at doing. But now it's with a new layer of uncertainty added to the mix. You know, when can we move forward, or what will tomorrow look like is unsettling at best. So what I'm doing with my Resolve local support group is we're going virtual. We'll be meeting online. It's still face-to-face, but it's just electronically. So support will not stop unless you allow it to. And me personally, I'm not going to allow it to, and I know Resolve isn't going to allow it to. So hence the reason why we're going virtual. And you know, there are also other ways, just like Barb, you're mentioning, there's other ways that people can get support through Resolve. And you mentioned Inspire, the online community, as well as there's our helpline as well. And feel free to chime in, but I believe it's was at 1-866-NOT-ALONE. People can call in for that, and there are peer-led volunteers who get it and understand, who are there to answer those calls. So sadly, and it pains me that although I will not be there to physically hand over a tissue to one of my members that's in a really hard place, I can still be there in their moment of need. And that's why finding support right now is so imperative.
Wow, thank you so much, Candace. Really appreciate your personal perspective. Liz, if I could put you on the spot, I mentioned that people can connect through Resolve on our social media channels. Can you just share for a second on how people should be interacting with social media right now and any advice or tips that you have for them?
Yeah, it's a great question, because the scales can really tip in the other direction, where then people are obsessively online in front of their screens all day long, and we don't want that either. So we want people to stay informed and connected, but also set limits on media coverage and how much time they're spending online, because that can also lead to more panic and anxiety. So don't stay glued to your television, internet, social media, or devices for constant news. I have fallen guilty to that as well. And I can tell you, even as a mental health professional, I notice changes in my physiology when I'm watching a news show for too long, where suddenly you start to convince yourself you have symptoms you don't have. So it happens to all of us, and we really need to be mindful of that and take breaks. Limit yourself to just a few updates a day, maybe morning and afternoon, preferably not at night right before bed, because hearing about the pandemic repeatedly can just increase distress, as I just mentioned. Really pick just a few credible sources that you go to that have credible information. And then set boundaries and limits when it comes to online searches and chat rooms related to both the virus and infertility, because you need to really pull back, and control yourself during these times. Set a timer to limit your hours of online activity. Only search reputable sites, as I mentioned, and really join professionally moderated chat rooms and webinars, especially when it comes to infertility. Reach out to Resolve, know where you're reaching out to, so you don't spread more panic and become more depressed or anxious than you need to be. You can reach out to the ASRM website. It has a search engine for the mental health professional group that are trained psychologists and social workers in the area of reproductive medicine. So those are really great places to reach out for the help that you're going to get qualified people to help you with. And then my favorite thing is to create a list of activities to do in your free time, so that when you do have options to choose from, you're less likely to go back to your online searches and your media. So if you make a list of things to do when you're bored, it can be all of the things you've been wanting to do, cleaning out a closet or pantry, or it can just be fun activities that bring you joy and pleasure. Lastly, I think instead of spending hours online, use that time to help yourself feel better. So things like meditation and breathing exercises, physical activity is important. Journaling, practicing any kind of self-care during these times is really critical.
Thank you so much, Liz. I am taking your advice, and I was thinking about teaching myself to make I have a cookbook I haven't even opened yet. So fun things that might be very different. Regarding meditation and relaxation, I want to mention an app that, Liz, you have been instrumental in helping put together. It's called CALM. It's a free app for women, and there's also one for men called Ferta Strong. And these are going to be great resources for you right now. And again, you can find those in your app store, but they are free.
Yeah, they're free to download, and they have lots of relaxation techniques and self-care options on them, and how to deal with negative thoughts. So you can check those out for free online.
Well, I want to thank you both so very much. This is really helpful on how we can continue to take care of ourselves, how we can get support. Even if you're not part of a current Resolve support group and you feel like now is the time, please go to resolve.org, find the support group in your local area, reach out to the host, and connect with them, because we are working with all of our hosts around the country to go virtual, as Candace mentioned. And so while you may find a group in your area and it's going to give you the date and the time, go ahead and reach out to the host. There might be a new schedule, and it will be virtual. And they would absolutely welcome new support group members at this time. If that's not something you're interested in, go to the inspire.com website or through resolve.org. You can get to our online support community. There are literally thousands of people who use that resource. And then, as Candace said, our helpline at Resolve. Again, you can go to resolve.org and find all this information. We also have content on our website very specific to this that we're updating on a regular basis. And as I said, please check that out. Liz and Candace, any final thoughts that you'd like to share?
Yes. I just encourage anybody who's listening to this right now, in this time of uncertainty, don't do this alone. It's a lot to take on by yourself, and we as a community do not need to be further isolated. We already deal with this, on an everyday basis. We don't need to put ourselves even further in that hole. So reach out, get support. It's there. It may not be in person, but it's there.
Well said. Liz?
Yeah, I would just echo that. This is not a time to be isolated in terms of mental health. I understand that we're all more isolated in terms of where we are physically, but it doesn't mean that you're alone, and there are people that can help. So reach out to Resolve, and they'll get you in touch with a support group or a mental health professional in your area. There's no reason to suffer silently through this when there's so many people who are available to help you get through this time.
Fantastic. Thank you. We hope everyone is safe and well, and we hope this has been helpful to you and to Candace, and we wish everybody well. Thank you.
Thank you.